Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every damn dirty minute of the Planet of the Apes, 1 minute at a time. I am Todd.
Just make sure. You
and
sound
you
very confused
and you are well. That
Sean.
So wait, hang on. And you are.
I'm Richard.
There we go.
So the reason I was feeling confused is
Richard.
because I look up and I could see Sean's eyes darting up at me every
Look at
time,
my
and I kept
notes.
thinking,
What-
am I doing it
what are you
okay?
doing,
Am I
Todd?
doing okay? So we are on Thursday of the week. We're heading towards the end of the week with some minutes that are probably not the most
Oh, Lord.
action-filled, but Richard promises me we at least have some script things in here we
We
can
do have
discuss.
some other things.
So, Sean, tell us what's going on in these
We're
minutes.
starting minute 89 with Cornelius moving a blanket burrito off the cart, and it's going to end with everyone riding off on horses.
That would
And,
be the most amazing burrito ever. If
the
I
blanket
would
burrito.
eat a burrito that size.
It's very cottony in the mouth, but
Yeah.
you
You
leave
You know,
a
that's
little
what I
water
used to
with
call my daughter when I wrapped her in a blanket. I called her my tamale, actually.
it. Tamale. So it's minute 89. We got 2 living humans, 2 confirmed dead. Poor Dodge and Stewart. A shrewdness of apes, and a gaggle of humans. I never noticed until this minute that Taylor is barefoot. That must have been actually hard on Charlton Heston, the
Well, let's go
actor,
back to,
walking in the heat and the hardness and all that kind of stuff.
if you'll remember minutes back when they first got in the cage, I said that the bottom of his feet looked very glistening. They made special shoes
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
that glued to the bottom of his feet,
yeah.
and
Oh,
so
Oh,
that
yeah,
he could
he's
walk
not walking
around.
on that desert by.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Him and Nova, they're good.
Moses, well, you know what?
Him and
He didn't,
Mosa?
he didn't care about her. He didn't give her any shoes. Moses got him some walking
so
shoes.
is it Moses and Nova? Are they Mosa?
All right, so that's Minute of the Apes. We thank you for joining us.
Oh my god, that's so hilarious. So when they come
Moses.
so
Moses.
so when Taylor goes, where does this river lead? Cornelius should say, "You should know, you parted it."
Oh, but
No, but
Thank you very much. That's the end of this podcast.
as I'm watching all the waveforms, and all of a sudden he's like, ah!
So the minute prior to this, we had they come across that unique U shape where there's a landmass and some erosion has happened, pulling it down into a ravine and a river beneath it.
Yeah.
And then we see Cornelius kind of messing with that weird burrito. And so Taylor and Lucius move to one side of that U, it's where they can oversee.
Still unnamed Lucius.
unnamed Lucius.
And not yet, yeah.
And then we have Cornelius and Zira on the other side. And I think that Nova's still kind of back at the wagon, or she gotten off to kind
I
of
think
follow
that
them?
Zira's not in that shot, is she? I think it's only Corny on that side.
Corny?
see.
Is that
Oh,
what
wait,
it's
That's
on
what
there?
from my notes.
okay.
He's always corny because I get tired of writing Cornelius.
Okay, so there it is. Yeah, so
They're back doing nails.
nephew and nephew and
Cornelius.
Taylor,
Taylor.
are on one side. It looks like Nova is actually at the bottom of the U, standing
really?
on the line.
Okay.
Yeah. She's there, kind of looking out over the river as well.
So for this scene, can I finally tell what my production notes are for where they shot it?
Go for
Go
it. Yeah.
for it.
For the scene with them standing on opposite sides of, as it calls it, a truly magnificent gorge. The 2 actors were filmed on location at Lake Powell / Glen Canyon Park. The actors stand on either side of an opening that was blasted into the cliff. Blasted into the cliff face leading down to the river below, made by members of wagon trains during the 1800s to allow an easier route for lowering their wagons to the river level. The spot may be visited today when traveling through that area. In the winter of 1879, a band of Mormon pioneers blasted that opening hole in the rock and carved it at a 45-degree slope for easier passage.
Wow. All right. That's actually really cool. That's
So-
why it's so unique and why it's got that shape that it does.
Well, yeah, that
And
explains
the
it
fact that
now.
I can't talk, what happened to I haven't even had that much beer.
Yeah, barely any beer.
I just really crazy that they blasted it to kind of like get, and it's to lower equipment down to the side.
It makes me wonder, you think about the great Mormon pilgrimage. God, I'm going to quit talking. Did they do that while they were going across and they were escaping persecution, that they blasted things? It's just a weird idea.
But I don't, just modern construction, like I can't imagine blasting into a cliffside in such a way to make an opening and then still feel safe standing on either side of that opening. I would I probably just unsettled all this rock beneath me.
But I know this from the work that I did. I had to go to Utah numerous times, and they have a thing, and I want to say they have a passage called the Gorge or something like this. It's the longest expansion of highway in the United States that goes straight through a mountain. And these people apparently love to blast the shit out of all this stuff, because when you're going through that, it looks like this, and it looks like it's terrifying. And at night, it has no lights on it. Yeah, and I'm not kidding you. There are more wrecks in this area, and they won't report them because the cops won't go out there because there's no way to look at it. So I don't know. Maybe they just enjoy blasting the shit out of mountains.
I mean, what do you do with all those kids?
Wow.
Well, welcome to your Mormon Minute. Well, that makes sense to me now, because I was assuming, now I have my hands together and I'm splitting them slightly apart, because I was assuming that they were always apart. So how were people on one side and people on the other? Now that makes sense to me, that it might be joined back to back. And so that's how Taylor and Cornelius, they ended up on both sides of a mountain instead of, well, I went up one side, I went at the other side, and we're on the other side.
There's kind of a little bit of a wide where you see nephew and Taylor go to one side, and then you kind of see Cornelius kind of come up to the other side, but then it cuts to where it looks like they're standing on complete opposite sides of the mountain. It took me a second too when I was watching this over again, where I was like, how did they get across the river while he's on the other side? No, it's a simple it's just a trick of the camera.
But does it not feel almost like a contriived shot? Why are they standing on opposite sides of it? There's no need for that, other than it looks cool.
They also add the echo effect.
Oh, to a great extent.
They only use it when they're standing on either side of the river. I mean, those two ledges. They don't use it otherwise.
If they didn't want to contrive the shot, they literally could have had where the land splits, and then both coming up on each side of it and walking up and just going up to the edge of the cliff and going,
agreed.
All right, now where do we go, or whatever? Or we're going that way now.
It's a great location, and again, it's so scenic that it looks fake.
Yeah,
you look at it, and I kept thinking,
you're waiting for the green screen edge to show up or whatever.
That's literally why I went and found the production note, because I thought this is either fake or they shot it in somewhere that's, and now we find out, blasted apart.
So the notes leading into this, Taylor and Cornelius and Lucius are unloading the wagon and repacking their provisions and equipment on the backs of horses.
Yeah, they're getting rid of the wagon.
Zero watches. So
they're dumping the wagon.
So what the unknown moment, which we kind of find out in this next little bit, is that they are about to ditch the wagon. Suggesting they're going down into the ravine.
You get that from the script. Did you get that from watching it? Because I don't.
Not initially. Not until they were walking down the river, and I'm like,
not until a little bit later. I mean, while I'm actually watching it, I didn't get it from the original watch through, but when I watched it through, I realized that they were getting rid of the wagon because they're going down to.
So to your point about needing something for this moment, you're right. The audience has to assume that, based upon a future minute, that they're kind of abandoning things.
Once again, why don't they take the time to explain the scarecrows? Why don't they take the time to explain why I'm leaving things behind? We're going somewhere that's not going to fit. I don't understand. It's not economy of story when you're simply explaining action.
When you consider this is a 2-hour, slightly less than 2-hour movie, and literally a half hour of it, from watching it, is just walking through deserts.
Right.
Yeah, they have plenty of stuff that they could have cut out and added a little more dialogue to explaining what's going on.
Right.
We don't need the cart anymore. Let's go. We're heading to the beach.
And again, let's say you add in all these seconds, you maybe add in a minute and a half worth of discussion. Sean and I discussed this.
Got rid of 20 minutes worth of walking.
Right. Sean and I discussed this early on, that we long for a time in filmmaking when they took the time like this to allow characters to simply walk somewhere and set the tone. You know, you think back to Lawrence of Arabia has that beautiful shot when they're standing at the water well and Omar Sharif is coming, and he just never comes, and it comes, and it takes forever. It builds tension that we don't do too often today. This film is not afraid to do it, but this film is afraid to also explain the simplest of actions.
With any sort of dialogue.
Right. They don't mind explaining the lore of the place, but they won't simply tell me there's jeopardy if we do this, we got to do that.
They don't mind us having Taylor say, there were plenty of women, I love them, and Stuart was going to be a breeder, and we'll just discuss all these other things. But as soon as we get out into the desert, we're not going to talk about what the hell we're doing.
So does all they get cut because it doesn't serve Taylor? Is that why?
Pretty much.
I guess.
That's the ANSA budget.
So when they come across this giant chasm in Lake Powell, and they start repacking things, which we only see really Cornelius doing at this point. There's a moment in the script that has Nova dropping to the ground.
Yeah.
And nephew says, something's wrong with your mate to Taylor. Taylor looks over, moves quickly to Nova. She's been throwing up. Taylor lifts her up.
Oh, we're still back in this stuff.
She is faint with nausea. Zira squats down beside them. Zira says, let me handle this. Ruefully to Taylor. You may be smarter than I am, but I'm the veterinarian on this planet. And Zira helps Nova up to her feet and off to the wagon.
I thought she was an animal psychologist, not a veterinarian.
She's whatever the scene needs her to be, Sean.
Exactly.
Again, okay, so I'm going to go back.
She's a monkey of 1,000 trades.
I'm going to go, like, if we're sticking with the Taylor had sex with Nova theory, I can't imagine I meet a woman and she doesn't ever talk to me and she doesn't ever express anything because she has no intelligence. And then I go, let's do it. Let's
bullshit.
Well, I mean,
so
I know JJ
my first two wives.
So when your notes back in the prison where Taylor wants to bring Nova along, is he the one who knows that she's pregnant, or is the audience supposed to know that she's pregnant? Because this indicates that he does not know.
Well, I mean, it's not in the script. I mean, it's not in the movie. So
right, it's not in the movie.
You have to tell us what you've read before, because I brought in, because I read that in the production notes, that she was supposed to be pregnant. Has there been any allusion to...
No.
To me, this is the first time, and Taylor is so self-absorbed that he can't understand what morning sickness is.
Well, I mean, Zira's about to tell him.
Drinking,
Zira tells him in this minute, just a couple minutes later on.
Oh, she does fess up on it?
Yeah, she does.
Hey, you stooped her, and therefore she's...
Well, we get to the bit where Cornelius and Taylor have a back and forth.
We know it's Earth, all right?
If she says stooped, we know it's a Mel Brooks film.
We get through a back and forth with Taylor and Cornelius, but when it comes back, Taylor comes up to Nova and Zira, and he goes, "What's the diagnosis, doctor?
Oh God,
a touch of the sun."
Oh,
I
got the vapors.
And Zira's like,
clutch my pearls.
Zira's like, she's not sick at all. A beat, she's pregnant. Consternation slowly gives way to wonder. He grins. Taylor,
is it mine?
I'm not altogether a different breed, you see.
Shut this podcast down.
So there's this kind of moment like, does he know? Does he not know? And then she's like, dude, she's pregnant. Like, hey.
But see, I would have enjoyed it at that point if he was, it's not mine. It's not mine. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Oh, what a pig.
My wig don't work.
Yeah, so all these drawn
Ansa took care of that in 1972.
So all of these moments in the desert where they're riding were actually filled with this discovery, and when them kind of negating the pregnancy as a direction, cut a lot of the scene down to just travel.
Yeah. You cut it down to travel, but again, even if you cut out the pregnancy, you can go back to helping me understand the jeopardy.
Do you think there were moments that were not filmed to establish that they thought were included in these moments with the pregnancy?
From what I understand, they did. Oh,
on the screen or what?
Hang on.
Visual cues that might have told us why they were stopping, why they were repacking.
I don't know.
That might have just been kind of cut when doing this. I mean, they're not specifically in the script.
If the script is not, they've shown time and time again that they're doing things that are not on the page and bringing extra bits to it. But I have the feeling that the economy of the story was that they just felt the audience is going to follow because we need to get away from Ape City, from Albuquerque. We need to move beyond. I don't know. It just seems, I know that from what I read, they did not shoot a lot of this stuff with the child. They just decided that was something that the audience could not stomach with the end of this film, that she had a child.
Yeah. I just think it feels...
Out of wedlock?
Not even out of wedlock, that she's like going into a desperate situation.
I think it feels like she has no agency in the pregnancy because it's just like they put him in a cage with her and all of a sudden she's pregnant. So that means, did she have any choice in that? So that's kind of a weird...
But I don't know that in 1968 that people would have thought about a woman had no choice in it because
I mean,
it's only now that we're beginning to see a movement that we see at the Golden Globes where women show up and they stand up to this kind of treatment. So at 68, while there was women's lib, you didn't see that same thing. So I question whether an audience would question.